Morning guys, we've had a delivery. We've got injector shrouds and some hotspots. I've had to order these. These came from Turner Engineering, and the hotspots, or hot plugs depending on what you want to call them, they was from Bearmac. They're £5 cheaper than Turner Engineering, so it made sense to me. Now, hats off to both companies. I ordered these yesterday morning and they've turned up this morning, so paddocks could learn a thing or two from them, because their post is shocking at the minute. You're looking a week and a half to 2 weeks. But yeah, one thing I did, these are slightly different. It's like these are actually for the 2.5s. You cannot buy the original parts for the 2 1/4s. You can only buy the 2.5s. They're just obsolete. Nobody makes them anymore. They are slightly different. I'll see if I can get an angle. The new ones are a little bit shorter. The angle inside's steeper. It's got a bigger curve. It shouldn't really make a difference, but like I said, we've got no option because you cannot buy them at all. Well, you can. Sorry, you can buy. Apparently, you can buy them. There is. I can't remember what company it was, but they wanted £50 or £60 each for them. So we'll go with them. Job done. So I think its main purpose of that is to protect the end of the injector. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'll finish my cup of tea and get cracked on. Right, so let's get these fitted in. First job is to make sure there's nothing in there whatsoever, no grit, no nothing. Make sure it's squeaky, perfectly clean. Get your fingers in both sides. I've done that one just to make sure they fit, because like I said, they're from the 2.5, so I thought I'll do that one off camera first. Make sure they fit before I bother doing a video. So otherwise I'll have to send them back. Right, get your shroud. That little hole, that is there's something to do with manufacturing process or something, but it is a good guide, because that little hole wants to point in towards the cylinder like that, so it gives you a bit of a guide, something you can look down. You can use a bit of oil, little smear of grease, or a bit of spray grease or something, just to help it in, and just slide it in. If you can stick to the end of the finger, make sure it goes in and sits in square, and look for that hole to make sure that hole's pointing that way. The socket, this is it's a snap-on 16mm. What you want to make sure is when you're tapping it in, that whatever you're tapping it in with sits on there and not in there. Don't be tempted to push it in with the injector, to bolt the injector down, push it in, because all you'll do is push that end off, and then it'll end up looking like that. Because I'm not sure it's just sort of fused on, hot fused on, or bonded on, or what, but you can see, if I can get it in focus, there's a line around there where they are actually two pieces. So do not tap it, push it, do anything with that. So that's that in there. New one there, one missing somewhere. I've put one down somewhere. I'll find it in a minute. Right. Socket, make sure it's on square. Tapping stick. And just double check that that hole's pointing in towards the cylinder. Just tap it in, don't go full mental. You're not 4, just tap it in gently. Have a quick look, I think that just needs to go a little bit further. They are tight. And I was listening for a change of tone as I'm hammering it in, but I didn't seem to get one. So let me get this. See if this will reach down and see how deep down it is. We'll go for there. $37.22. No, that one's not in half as far. Why's that? I can visibly see it's gone in further. See, that's 41.3. Let's flick this over and have a look. That doesn't quite seem right to me, that. There's that one. Alright. Yeah, it's definitely gone in a lot further than the other side. I don't know, it just seems a little bit too far to me, that, but I don't see how it could. But right, I'll tap in there, see if that one will tap down a little bit more. So you can't really see from there, but this one's definitely gone in further than that one by quite a way. So let's have a look, see whether I'll do some measuring and come back, see what's gone wrong. Right, I've measured everything up. That one's gone. That one just needs tapping down a little bit further. I just wanted to make sure before I didn't want to go in whacking it down. Figure there's something wrong. Right, so I'm gonna find what I've just done with my socket. What has just happened to the socket? Straight in front of my face. Right, so that's gone down a lot further now. Let's have a look at that. $37.62. 37. Yeah, that's about right now. That. Right. So yeah, that's them in. You've got to make sure they're in right, because if they're not seated all the way down, obviously it's not going to inject the fuel properly. It's not going to inject the fuel straight all the way into the cylinder, the pre-combustion chamber. So yeah, I'll get these other two in and come back and we'll fit these little buggers. Right, that's all them in. If you can see on the camera, flip the head up, have a quick inspection, make sure they're all in the same. Yeah, they're all identical. Right, it's hotspot time. Right, let's have a look, see if I can move you around here a little bit. Right. How did I have this sat before? Right, let me just clear some room on here. Right, one of the habits I've gotten into is when you're doing this a lot, you do get into certain habits. Is whenever I've got a cylinder head laid on the bench like this, it's going to be laid here for any time. I get it level, and I always fill the valves up with diesel, and I'll leave it to sit. It's a good indicator whether your valves are seating properly. I let these valves in a while ago, and so I just filled them level with diesel, and I did that. When did I do that? That was Saturday lunchtime. Did that, and I had to wipe the diesel out of there because they were still full, and it's now Tuesday lunchtime. So that's how well they're sitting. The diesel did not drain past the valves at all, which is great. It's just something I do. I always keep a little tub of diesel. I don't know sure where it's gone now. I always keep a little tub of diesel floating around, just purely for that purpose. Also, as well, it's handy to have a bit of diesel if you get an engine in that's locked up. Solid has been sat for a long time, been sat outside, got water in it or anything like that, and it's seized, you can't turn it over by hand. You take the injectors out, drop some diesel in there, leave the diesel to soak for a few days, a good few days, and it's worked for me a few times for unseasoned engines. So it's just something to do. People have their own ways of doing things, but it's always worth a try. Diesel's relatively cheap. So, right, hotspots. Just check them against the old ones. I would recommend changing these little locating pins, these little roll pins, but I could not get hold of any. And these have all stayed in. And all that is basically, that's to stop it from turning round. It doesn't actually hold it into place, it just stops it from migrating round. But they're not going anywhere, so right. Make sure everything's cleaned out. I've gone around it with the brake cleaner. I went down there with a really soft wire wheel in the drill as well before I started doing anything, because you do get carbon build up in there. So hotspot in. Don't be tempted to twat this straight on with a hammer. Get a block of wood or a soft face hammer to tap it in. I'll go and get a little piece of wood now. Right, make sure it's lined up with that pin, and Hope and pray that it seats in. That looks a little bit big to me, that. I think the problem is the outside diameter of this is exactly the same as the inside diameter of that. So, let's have a look at these old ones. Let's measure them. Let's measure them. 0 that. Right, so, what have we got? We have got, sorry, get you 34.1. 34.36, ever so slightly larger. So it's going to need a little bit of persuasion to go in there, but at least it should stay in there if we can get it in. You don't want to go actually hitting the surface of that, because what you don't want to do is, one, you don't want to risk cracking it, damaging it in any way. But you get little score marks in there, dents, chips. It's going to lead to eventually, so you get a big chip across there, gases will start going through, the combustion gases will start eventually going through there and opening it up. It might take thousands of miles, but it will eventually happen. Let's get a little bit of spray grease on there, see if this will help it. It'll all be cleaned out. That's about empty. It'll all be cleaned out with brake cleaner. I honestly do not think that's going to go in there. Well, we're failing at the first hurdle with this one. Hopefully this isn't, I'm not sure if there's any difference between the other engines, hotspots, and these, whether these are from a 2.5 litre turbo diesel or diesel. I shall check the part numbers. What's the part number? 558168. So I can use my phone, check that, because all it says on there is cylinder head hotspot diesel. There's hotspot, made in Turkey. Right, I'll check that. Right, a bit of a snag fit in these core plugs. What I've come to realise is the new plugs are 34.4 millimeters wide. The holes are 34. So, sorry, I don't know if you see that then, I was that busy looking. 34. So, I've stuck them in the freezer. Freeze them right down, hopefully they'll shrink that 0.4 of a millimetre down and slot in. So I'm going to leave them in there for a few hours. So these, let's have a measure of these ones. Sorry, it's awkward. Let me put you in this stand. If I can do it without dropping everything. There we go. Right, what have we got here? These. Make sure that's zeroed. Oh. 34.2. So, yeah, there's this problem. Little bit, see, they fit in there just snug. They slot in there just with a light tap. They'll sit in there. But yeah, just need to shrink them down that little bit. So I'll leave them for a few hours in the freezer. Make sure to turn that off. And yeah, we will get them fitted today. Right, you little bugger. That's the way to do it. That's I think that's the way to do it. I'll explain to you in a second. See what that says. 0.1 of a millimetre. It's 0.76 of a millimetre is your maximum protrudence out of there. .09. Proper hardwood, proper bit of hardwood. Right, that was a nightmare. Let me. What I ended up having to do, I'm out of breath. I just ran from the house. I've put them in the freezer for a couple of hours, and it's just shrank them down that little bit. They're literally a tiny little fraction. I might try and just knock that one down a little bit more. It'll go down this side. Fraction bigger than the hole. So they wouldn't quite go in. Straight out the bag. So I've stuck them in the freezer for 2 or 3 hours. Come back and you can see that one. I got it so far in and I could not get it to move. The only thing I could do was twat it with the hammer. But it's gone in, it'll be fine. Yeah, so I've got 2 more to do. The joys. You should be able to just tap them in. Now, the ones I've done before, you just literally just tap them in. But the ones I did before were Britpart. Yeah, Britpart, the dreaded blue bag. And they literally, you just literally put it in, tap with a bit of wood, done. Yeah, these ones are bare mat ones, and they're a lot tighter, But it's in, they're in. 2 more to go. The joys. Right, yeah, basically what I did was what you saw there. Bit of hardwood. Luckily I've got some bits of really hardwood for my log burner. Twat it hard with a big hammer. And job done. You see these ones, at least I know they're not going to fall out. These ones, they literally, if I was to tap that with a hammer, that'd just go straight in. In fact, I've only dropped it and I can't get it out of my fingers. And I've literally just dropped it in. Yeah, you're talking fractions of millimetres. Fractions of millimetres is enough. Dong. Right. To cause you aggro. So, yeah, I've put them 2 in now. You've seen how I've done that one. I've put them 2 in and stick the head back on. See if I can't get it running today. Come on, this one. sticking up a little bit that side. I know you shouldn't never hit hammers with hammers. You shouldn't really hit the hot spots, but they're that tight in. Really, what I probably should have done is something back, but they're in. They're not going anywhere. Just gently tapping that now. Not the best way of doing it, but there's freeing. Huh. Wow, I've had the other one out of the freezer, so I'm going to leave that one. I'm going to leave that one an hour. And let it freeze a bit more. Let it shrink a bit more. They're not coming out in a hurry, them. I can tell you that much. There's no danger of them falling out. Right. Oh, the joys. Right.